We turn now to Captain Tim Taylor in New York. He's the president of Tiburon Subsea Services, a company dedicated to ocean research and exploration. Welcome to the broadcast.
How you doing?
Captain, tell us, it's a very small piece of plane, but how important is this actual piece to the investigation?
It's extremely important. This is the first piece of the plane we found, or they found. So ultimately, it would be ideal if more of this can be found and add to the database. But this is 500 plus days, and they finally found a piece of the plane.
We know that investigators will be looking at serial numbers possibly on this piece. We're not sure if they're there to see if they do match the 777, but what else will they be looking at?
Well, obviously, this is another clue. It is many days, obviously, since the plane went missing, but they can extrapolate some data out of this. And I'm not sure it's going to change the search area per se, but it does help validate it. The current models that Australia has seem to plug this in and bring it back to the location that they're looking. So that has to buoy the spirits of the searchers that are looking, and also make them feel like they are not wasting time. They're looking in the right place.
Will they actually be able to determine if this plane broke apart in the air or once it hit the water from this single piece of evidence?
You know, I'm not the plane expert. That is a good question. The
Yes.
experts that I've been talking with over the last few days feel that it will lend some clues. So that's what they need to determine.
Do you think this was just luck that this piece washed up, or really was it inevitable that an object of this magnitude would eventually surface, if in fact
I'm not sure it was inevitable that something of this magnitude would surface, but it was inevitable that some debris would wash up if this plane had gone down in the ocean. It was not going to leave without a trail. Whether we find that and it's recognized on the hundreds and hundreds of miles of beaches that are uninhabited and is another factor, but it would have found its way to the shore somehow, some pieces.
Mm-hmm. If it is, in fact, debris from MH370, what actually happens next?
Well, I think there's going to be a concerted effort to look for more debris in the islands and the shorelines on Western Africa or Eastern Africa and Madagascar, and maybe even some of the island archipelagos, the Seychelles and things of that nature. I would definitely think that they'll look for some of the larger pieces, but this search can go on still for years. These pieces may not show up next day, tomorrow, and maybe next month or next 6 months from now. So every clue, it's going to be a long, long time before they piece this together. Ultimately, the ideal thing is for the current search to come up and find the wreckage in the search area that they're looking.
Captain, remind us again just how difficult it is to search such a vast body of water.
Well, you have to think that there's terrain underneath this water. Besides getting there, besides getting your equipment down, which can take hours in a very harsh environment. Salt water is acidic. It's corrosive. It's an extremely harsh environment. But once you get down there, it has topography just like we have here. It's got mountains and ravines and ledges, and so your equipment can see through the water with sound, but if it can't see over hills and ledges. So if the plane came down in a crevasse someplace, they could miss it. So covering the area efficiently, it's a trade-off. You got to cover as much as you can, but you're still going to have some possibilities of missing this, and that would be a shame if that happened.
Well, Captain Tim Taylor with Tiburon Subsea Services, we certainly appreciate your time.